friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you haven't been here before. I'm Erin, and for today's video I am going to be reading some stories off of Reddit from the subreddit of Let's Not Meet. Now, before I get into that whole spiel, I did want to let everybody know that there will not be a video coming out this Wednesday or Thursday, and the reason for that is, I can't even believe I'm gonna say this, I am going to try to participate in Vlogmas this year. So if you don't know what Vlogmas is, it is essentially posting a video every day from December 1st until Christmas. So 25 videos in a row. So I'm going to be taking the rest of this week to kind of figure out how the hell I'm going to do this, because I have a wedding to go to the weekend of December 15th. So it could get a little bit tricky, but I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna give it my best shot. So yes, I'm going to be trying to participate in Vlogmas. Now, I decided to go out of the box today as well. You can see the lipstick. I'm not really too sure how I feel about it. I feel like I look kind of a little bit like a clown. But whatever, I mean, it was a pretty color in the tube. But enough with this nonsense. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know I did. I got to spend Thanksgiving with my boyfriend's family, and his mom always cooks lots of yummy food, so it was really good. Anyway, let's jump into this. If you don't know what the subreddit of Let's Not Meet is, essentially it's a bunch of creepy, true stories about people being stalked or just having creepy people around in general. So, yeah. Creepy stories. I find these to be scarier than the ones on Nosleep, because the stories in Reddit Nosleep, they're not necessarily always true. I'm sure some of them are true, but most of them are like fiction that people have written. And I really enjoy those stories too, but these in Let's Not Meet creep me out a lot more because, well, they are supposedly true. But anyway, I figured today, for today's creepy video, we would go ahead and read some of the top stories from Let's Not Meet. So let's jump into it. And I will link all the original stories from this subreddit down below if you want to check them out on Reddit. So the first one I'm going to read is called "My Brother Saw a Ghost as a Kid. 2 decades later, I realized what he actually saw." I was about 7 years old, my brother about 10. It was well past our bedtime when our mom woke up off the couch to put us to bed. Our dad worked construction out of town back then, so it was often just us three at the house for weeks at a time. Up the stairs and to the immediate right was our parents' bedroom. Going left put you in the middle of a hallway. Taking another left down that hallway led to my brother's room. The opposite end was my room, which was also across the hall from our upstairs bathroom. At either end of the hallway are windowed doors we always kept locked and rarely used. The door on my end led to a balcony overlooking our front yard, and the door on my brother's end opened to our back porch. The house kind of leans into a small hill. My brother and mom both had a habit of waking up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. I only knew this because I was always a late sleeper, and they just couldn't help flushing with the door wide open. This night, however, my brother stopped on his way to his room and came back toward the bathroom. I'm gonna try to pee before I go to bed. The past few nights I've been too afraid to walk to the bathroom. I keep seeing a man wearing stripes at the end of the hallway. I don't know if my mom wrote it off as my brother telling ghost stories to try to scare me, or if she was already half asleep and didn't catch it, but she didn't react at all to my brother's confession. I, on the other hand, was terrified by it. The fear of seeing a ghost like that at the end of the hallway or through the windows is the reason I started running from the stairs to my bedroom at night. Years later, when I was about 18, my mom and I were having a conversation in her car about a dog we had for a very short time when I was little. We were sharing stories about Max's tendency toward destroying my shoes and other unruly behaviors when my mom blurted out, "Do you remember that time I opened the front door for the cops and Max ran inside to the kitchen and started tearing open that big bag of dog food we had?" This really caught me by surprise, because in all the years I lived in the house, we never once called the cops. Gun owner family in a quiet, rural West Virginia neighborhood, etc. I asked her what she was talking about, and she looked equally surprised as if she had just revealed something by accident. "Oh, that's right. I never told you because you were too young at the time. One night I woke up hearing noises outside my window, and when I looked I saw a man staring into my bedroom." She went on to describe how turning on the lights caused him to take off running and how she grabbed my dad's pistol before calling the cops. I can't remember all the details I gave them when they showed up. Tall white male wearing a striped shirt and jeans, short dark hair, something like that. They said it matched the description of a man they were looking for in the area. It turns out he had escaped from jail on a murder charge. Now, I know it sounds so obvious hearing those two stories back to back, but it wasn't until a few years ago in my mid-20s that I pieced together that my brother had unknowingly warned us about a murderer who spent multiple nights casing our home. Like I said, these are true, so that is really freaking creepy to me. Like, that is my worst nightmare, to get up to go to the bathroom or something, or walk out to go get a drink or whatever, and there's somebody standing there. I would probably die of a heart attack, no joke. But anyway, let's move on to the next one. This one is called "The One Day I Woke Up Late May Have Saved My Life." I've told this story in other places on other accounts before, but it bears repeating. One day when I was an elementary schooler, I think probably 3rd or 4th grade, I was awoken by my mom in a rush. She had overslept, and since she always woke me up in the morning, this meant that I too overslept. And now there was just no way I was going to be ready for school enough to get on the school bus. If I remember correctly, school started at 8 a.m. and my bus pickup time was 7 a.m., but it was already like 6:40 or something, and I was still in my pajamas and hadn't even had breakfast yet. So my mom decided today we would just tell the bus driver to go on ahead and she would take me to school, which would give me plenty of time to get ready. So I'm sitting there at the dining room table eating breakfast, still in my pajamas, and it's now about 6:50. We hear the bus pull up about 10 minutes earlier than usual. My mom peeks her head out the door into the foggy morning and waves the bus on. She closes the door and comes back inside, but the bus doesn't pull away. There's a knock at the door, and my mom opens it to find a man in a bus driver uniform. He explains that he's a substitute driver because the regular driver called in sick. He says he knows he's a few minutes early since he wanted to get an early start on the route since he didn't know it well. My mom explains to him that she was going to take me to school since we woke up late. He gets visibly upset and says he can wait a few minutes since he's already running ahead of schedule. My mom insists that no, I won't be ready to go in a few minutes, and tells him to go on ahead. He seemed angry about this, but turned around and got back in the bus and left. I return to eating my breakfast and still don't have my clothes on at this point, but at 7 a.m. sharp, another bus pulls up to my house. Mom thinks this is weird and goes outside to talk to them. She comes back inside looking terrified, but doesn't really say anything about it and tells me to finish getting ready for school. At the time, I didn't know what happened, but Mom would end up telling me a few years later. She went to the second bus. She found that it was being driven by my regular bus driver, and it was full of all the other kids that are usually on the route. The other bus was empty, by the way. Mom asked the driver about a substitute driver and about him calling in sick. "I never call in sick. There is no substitute driver on my route," he says. The driver immediately called dispatch in a panic and told my mom to go inside and call the police, which she did without me knowing, and report this incident. There was absolutely no one doing my driver's route that day. Whoever this was most likely a kidnapper who had targeted me. I never heard anything about it again. Not even if someone else had ended up being picked up by this mysterious fake bus driver. But chances are, had I gotten on that bus, I would have never made it to school or back home. And if Mom hadn't overslept on that specific day, I would have been on that bus. It's another creepy one. So this next one is called "My Dad Saved Me." I was 13 years old at the time, now 22, and on a vacation with my parents in Turkey. We were in an all-inclusive hotel and enjoying the holiday. The hotel was full of tourists from different countries. There was this one guy, around 20, who was staring at me for some time. I felt uncomfortable and asked him how he was doing. Wrong choice. The next few days, everywhere I was, he also suddenly appeared. Not flirting, just lurking for hours and watching me. He had a really strange vibe around him, and I felt I shouldn't be alone with him. Now, I was still young, so my parents didn't want to leave me alone in a foreign country, so he could not bother me. But one night there was entertainment in the hotel, which became boring to me after some time. I told my parents I wanted to go to my own hotel room and I would see them in the morning. I left and walked to the elevator. What I didn't know was that the guy who was watching me for days saw me leaving and he had followed me. When I saw him also coming in, I was in great fear. He looked at me silently with a sinister smile. This is it, I thought. Rape, assault, or maybe even worse. And just before the doors of the elevator were closing, someone stuck his boot between it in order to prevent the doors from closing. I'm not kidding. All I could see was a boot. The doors opened and it was my dad. He saw that the creepy guy was leaving at the same time I had left and didn't trust it. He looked the guy in the eye and said hello. My dad took me to my hotel room. To this day, I'm so glad for the rescue because I don't want to know what would have happened if he didn't. See, that's definitely a really scary one because all I can think of is, yeah, this guy may have taken, I'm not really sure if it was a him or a her, but this guy could have taken him or her and not only done bad things, but human trafficking, if you look into it, it's a really scary thing and it just goes on a lot. Like if you look up human trafficking cases, they pop up all over the place. They're in the United States, they're all around the country. And usually if you're taken for one of these people that's going to sell you into human trafficking, you're just never seen again. So yeah, that one's definitely a really creepy one. Okie dokie. So this next one is called She Came Through My Ceiling. This just happened a few days ago and I'm extremely shaken up. Some backstory. I live on the second floor of a 3-level apartment. We have a crawl space that connects all the apartments. We aren't sure why it's there, but we all have stuff in it and none of us would ever attempt to go inside of it, so we felt pretty safe. The other night the sun was setting, but it wasn't pitch black out or anything yet. I'm walking through my living room and I see a short woman on my fire escape looking into my windows. This is extremely bizarre considering it's still semi-light out and she had to literally get onto our fire escape somehow. We have 2 windows that the fire escape reaches and she was looking in both but didn't see me. I crawled onto the ground and my heart was racing as I watched her try to open the windows. I didn't know what the hell to do because my phone was in the other room. After what seemed like an eternity, she finally left. I went into my room to get my phone to text my landlord and call the cops. I came back into the living room and was looking out the windows to see if I could locate her when all of a sudden I hear a weird noise coming from the ceiling. We have one of those tile ceilings made out of separate slabs of cork/wood. I looked up to see one of the slabs lifted up and 2 eyes staring at me. That's so creepy. I have no clue how she got into the crawl space so quickly, but I grabbed the nearest thing to me, which was a broom, and started hitting her with it through the ceiling and called the cops as soon as she crawled away. They showed up and searched the place and didn't find her until a few days later when she was on someone else's fire escape. The cops said that she was definitely on some hard drugs and that she was violent towards them. I'm glad she's gone, but whoever that crazy lady that came through my ceiling was, let's not meet again. I've seen some videos of like robbers falling through ceilings and stuff, so yeah, I can see how that would be creepy, especially if you're home by yourself. Alright, so this is going to be the last one for today. This one is called Thought My Boyfriend Got Home From Work. It wasn't my boyfriend. My boyfriend who I live with works as a teacher in town about 15 minutes away by train. He gets home more or less at the same time every day, give or take an hour or so. I, on the other hand, work from home. This is starting to hit home because I work from home. But my boyfriend's not a teacher. So, anyway. In late January of this year, we had gotten in a pretty big fight about something stupid. I can't even remember what it was about now, but it was one of those fights where we didn't speak to each other, text, call, or anything the whole next day. So this afternoon I was lying in bed getting work done. It was a Tuesday and I was pretty sure his last class finished at 1 p.m. on Tuesdays, meaning he'd surely be home at 2:30. But around 1 p.m. I heard the front door open and shut. I thought, I guess he's home an hour early today. It was normal for him to skip his last class every once in a while, so I didn't really think anything of it. In fact, I was mostly mentally preparing for the awkward post-fight, hey, how's it going conversation. So I continued to lie in bed and do work and wait for him to come in and change his clothes. The bedroom door was closed and I had earplugs sort of half in, as I usually do when I'm working. But I could hear the heavy footsteps of him walking around the apartment, as he always does. If we hadn't been mid-fight and I wasn't so preoccupied with the awkwardness of it all, I might have noticed it was strange how slow the footsteps were or how long he spent walking around the living room. But I was caught up in the dramatics of the fight and didn't think about it. I was just lying there waiting for him to finally come in. Finally, the bedroom door opened just a few inches. I turned my head toward the door, prepared to give him a sort of awkward, "We've been fighting for 24 hours, huh?" smile. But the door didn't open more than a few inches. I looked and saw that it was a woman's hand with red nail polish on the doorknob. Whoever was there slowly closed the door just as they had opened it without entering the room. I jumped out of bed, ripped out my earplugs, and sort of froze there for a few seconds while thinking rapidly. My first thought, that was not my boyfriend. Then I thought, could it have been his mom, his sister, the landlady? For some reason I concluded that surely it was his mom or sister, so I opened the bedroom door and walked into the living room. There wasn't anyone there, but the room smelled heavily of women's perfume. Then I came to my senses and I realized his mom and sister don't have keys and have never come over before. The landlady has never entered without permission. This was a stranger. I ran back into the bedroom and shut the door, now shaking heavily. There was a balcony connected to the bedroom, so despite the cold January rain, I stood on the balcony and called my boyfriend. He picked up and I asked if his mom or sister might come over unannounced. He told me, "No, don't move, I'm calling the police." The police were there in minutes and searched the whole apartment. Of course, nobody was there by this point. It was weird though. Nothing was missing from the apartment, despite us keeping a jar full of money right in the entrance. Nothing was even touched. In fact, it seemed like the intruder came straight to the bedroom, saw my legs on the bed, panicked, and left. Plus, you can't open that big wooden front door without a key. For a few days, my boyfriend and I were convinced it was just the landlady being nosy. I began to feel better. Nevertheless, we demanded that our landlady change our locks. When she came to change them with her husband, she made a discovery. There was a square area by the keyhole that had been scratched away with something. The landlady said surely someone used tools to break into the apartment. Then, a day or two later, my boyfriend told me, "I have to tell you something, but don't freak out." He told me that the orange kitchen scissors were missing. I obviously freaked out. I tore the apartment apart looking for those scissors. It's been 6 months and those scissors are gone. So the whole thing is just creepy and weird. A stranger breaks into a nice apartment but doesn't touch anything valuable, not even the money jar sitting right in the entrance, takes scissors from the kitchen, goes straight to the bedroom, sees someone in the bed, and immediately leaves. I never got to meet the person who opened the door that day. I hope I never do. So that's definitely another creepy one. I work from home and I always keep the door, I'm actually in my office filming right now, and I always keep the door to this room open. And we have pets, so I hear sounds out there and there is weird things that happen in our house. So I hear those things happen too. But seriously, my game plan is if I ever heard anybody break in this house, there's windows over here, we only have a one-story house. I'm so opening up the window and busting through and running away. That's my plan. Don't know if that would work or not, but yeah. But anyway guys, that's it for this video. If you liked it, go ahead and give me a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you'll be able to see all my videos for Vlogmas. Yes, that's going to be 25 videos in a row. I think I'm kind of crazy for trying this out, but hey, I think I ought to give it a go, so wish me luck with that. But like I said, there will not be a video this Wednesday or Thursday. It will be coming out on December 1st, which I believe is a Saturday, so be on the lookout for that one. Alright guys, I'll catch you next time. Bye!